Welcome to the Any Given Day podcast, your ultimate destination for all things college football. Join your hosts, Hunter and Zach, as they dive into the thrilling world of college football from the perspective of the fans. From game previews to post-game analysis, they will bring you the latest news, insights, and stories that make this sport so captivating. Join them every Tuesday and Friday as they explore the traditions, pageantry, and unforgettable moments that define college football. So whether you're a diehard fan or just getting into the game, get ready for a wild ride with the Any Given Day podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Any Given Day podcast. I'm Zach, and that is Hunter. And this is going to be our Week 10 preview episode. Now, before we get into it, I do have a little trivia question for you. I know that's normally your thing, but I saw this the other day. I wanted to see if you could guess it.
Okay, let's go.
So, obviously, Georgia is on a 25-game winning streak right now.
Yep.
Can you tell me the top 3 teams on the list of win streaks in the FBS Division 1?
All time?
All time. Top 3.
I think Georgia's second right now.
For reference, Georgia's 24th all time.
Oh dear.
For reference.
Oh dear. Oh god, I was fixing to throw out.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. They're tied with 6 other teams for 24th all time.
Oh, I was gonna throw out Miami, but no, that takes that out.
It does. Miami is the first modern era.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I saw something about it in the modern era, so that probably takes it back to like the 40s at least. We're going 40s.
Do you want the streak? What number 1 is?
Yeah.
First is 47, second is 40, and third is 37.
I'm going to say Army's one of them.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I don't know. You've stumped me. I'm actually shocked.
Really?
Yes, you stumped me.
So you give up?
I give up, yeah.
Okay. Number 1 is Oklahoma with 47 wins.
Okay,
from the 1953 to the 1957 season.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Take on it.
Number 2 is Washington with 40 wins from 1908 to 1914 with an asterisk. Technically, they were unbeaten for 64 games. They won. Yeah, they were 60-0-4 between 1907 and 1917, but their longest winning streak was 40.
Okay.
And third is Yale with 37 from 1887 to 1889, and they did it again from 1890 to 1893. They had 2 seasons where they won 37 straight games.
I should have thrown Oklahoma out there just as a boom. We got number 1 at least. I did not see Washington coming, honestly. Yale makes sense because Yale and Harvard actually used to be top tier programs.
Right.
But no, Washington, even if I had gotten Yale or Harvard, I blanked on the Ivy League. But no, daggum. Okay, fair. Washington would have been the one to stump me for sure.
Oh, definitely. And a little fun fact, right? Like I said, Yale had 2 37-game winning streaks from 1887 to 1889, and then 1890 to 1893. Mm-hmm. Princeton was the team to beat them both times. to end the streak.
Huh. See, if I had to pick, if I got my lick to pick of any Ivy League school to go to,
I thought
it probably would have been Princeton, if I'm being honest. It's just like the logo just a bit more.
right.
I don't know. It's got the tiger stripes inside
I
the
agree.
I'm very basic.
All right. All right, moving on to our first topic of the show. Obviously, the college football playoff rankings came out Tuesday. Some interesting rankings. Now, I believe you were exactly right on your top 6. I was a little off.
Maybe
but I believe you were exactly right.
We'll have to go. We'll have to go back and double check that just to be sure. But I don't remember. I think I might have been off by 1, but
right. But I mean, I think the top 6 probably about right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Georgia should be ranked number 1. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I mean, they've won 25 straight games. But
yep.
Ohio State does have the best resume to this point, I guess, so I can see them being 1. I like the rest of the top 6 there. But one bone I have to pick is USC being ranked 20th. They don't even deserve to be a top 25 team. There is not 5 teams that are worse than USC right now. No chance. USC has played horrible. They almost lost to Cal, who Auburn beat at the beginning of the year when they were awful.
Yeah, agreed.
And they're the 20th ranked team in the nation? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. They almost lost 3 straight games.
Yeah, agreed. My bone to pick. 2 bones to pick actually. I hid one from you, right?
Oh God.
But the first one to pick is the one thing that I would change is Tulane's ranked 24th, Air Force is ranked 25th. I'd swap those 2 just because Air Force up to this point is undefeated. And when's the last time you saw a military academy in the top 25 undefeated? I don't remember when.
Maybe Navy a couple 10, 15 years ago.
Maybe at that. But no, Air Force has they're undefeated. I think it would be cool as all get out if they ended the season undefeated and got to go to a New Year's Six Bowl. Would they win? Probably not. But at the same time, who knows? Some teams struggle against triple option teams. Now, granted, Air Force has probably evolved a bit from to say the military academies run a strict triple option nowadays. I don't agree with that anymore. I think their triple options have evolved into different ways and different formations that each make each unique to each school. But still, basis is a triple option. My other bone to pick, though, is everyone who said that Georgia's schedule was so weak. All of a sudden, they've got a flipping gauntlet out of nowhere, right? Because they're playing number 12 Mizzou this week. Week after that, they're playing the currently ranked number 10 Ole Miss. That's automatically a top 10 matchup now, especially if Ole Miss wins. I think they should, but who knows? Maybe Jimbo pulls one out of that. And then after those 2, you got number 17 Tennessee. And they could move up at some point and make that like a top 15 matchup or something. So out of nowhere, they got one of the tougher stretches now. So I don't want to hear anything about their strength schedule after this, especially from other SEC teams, because guess what, guys? Especially the ones in the SEC East. Guess what, guys? Y'all are the opponents they're beating. When you say, oh, y'all got a trash schedule, you're calling yourself trash.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. Next topic we got. I would like to hear your picks for the Power 5 conference champions? Like, we're decent way into the seasons now. Who do you think is going to win each conference in the Power 5?
Ooh, okay. Well, I think SEC. I'm gonna let a bit of bias come in, but to be the man, you got to beat the man. So I'm gonna pick Georgia to win the SEC. The ACC, I'll take Florida State in that one. Big Ten, I should say, not twin, is the toss up for me. I could see Michigan. I could see Ohio State. The whole thing is, I don't know, depending on how everything goes with the investigation, which we'll get a bit more into that here in a minute, but would Michigan possibly be stripped of the Big Ten title, or would they even have the chance to play for it stripped from them?
It's entirely possible.
Exactly. So I think I'll pick Ohio State. That actually hurts me to say. No, I'm messing. Anyways, back to the other ones. I think Pac-12. I think you'll agree with me on this. I think Oregon. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12 right now. I think if you were to put them in Washington on a neutral field at this point, they'd probably blow Washington out purely just because of how ticked off they are. So, yeah. And then Big 12, I'm going to shock you here. I'm going to pick K-State.
Really?
Yeah, really. I think they're going to match up well against Texas. I think Iowa State will probably lose to Kansas, especially if Kansas keeps playing the way they have been. And then I think Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State this week. Maybe. I don't know. Still kind of tossing that one up. Actually, it's in Stillwater. I still got to think on that one for a second. But I think either way, the outcome of the Oklahoma State game, the winner of that one's probably going to go to the Big 12 championship because they're both 4-1 in conference play. Iowa State's 4-1 in conference play. They lose to Kansas, then they're down to 4-2, which kind of takes them out of it a bit. And then I think K-State, I'll go ahead and spoil this one. I think K-State's going to beat Texas this week. I'll get a bit more into that here in a bit, but yeah, I think they beat Texas.
Okay.
I think they win the Big 12 championship.
Interesting.
What about you?
Well, a lot of ours are similar. I do think Georgia's going to win the SEC, like you said. I mean, they've won 25 straight games, and until somebody shows me they can beat Georgia, I don't think they're. I'm not picking them to lose until somebody does, because they've not shown me anything that says they are.
Yeah.
In the ACC, I think it's got to be Florida State. For a while there, we thought it could be North Carolina or Louisville. But both of those teams have kind of fallen apart a little bit recently. Mm-hmm. So I think Florida State's really your obvious pick. They're the only one that hasn't fallen apart. Mm-hmm. In the Big Ten, I do think it's going to be Ohio State, simply because it's going to come down to Ohio State or Michigan.
Yep.
And I think that Ohio State's going to come into that big game at the end of the year mad, knowing that Michigan's been cheating. And I think that's going to drive Ohio State and have them come in there very motivated.
Yep.
Come in there and destroy Michigan.
Yeah.
It's a little spoiler for later in the year, but I do think Ohio State's going to come in pissed off, especially now that all this cheating stuff's coming out. So I do think Ohio State's one of the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Pac-12, I think it's got to be Oregon, because it's. If you look at that game, I think the better team lost that game, because since that game, Washington has had a lot of tough games and Oregon has had no tough games. Oregon has destroyed everybody they've played, and Washington has struggled the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think Oregon's winning the Pac-12, and the Big 12, I think, is going to be Texas. If Quinn Ewers comes back and Quinn Ewers is healthy when he comes back. Because again, for the second conference in a row, when Texas lost to Oklahoma, the best team did not win. Texas is better than Oklahoma. Oklahoma just had a really great day, and Texas had a bad one. It happens. Anybody can win on any given day.
That's the name of the podcast.
And Oklahoma happened to win on that day. Yeah, Oklahoma happened to win on that day, but Texas is the better team. And if Quinn Ewers can get back healthy and they can survive until then, Texas is probably going to win the Big 12.
Plug in the pod. Sorry. But yeah.
Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, tell everyone about it, people. I guess we gotta get into the Michigan news, which I'm starting to get sick of having to check my phone every few minutes. Like, I'm probably fixing to check Twitter here in a few minutes again, just to double check while we're doing this that nothing else is broke. If I get any breaking news, I guess I'll have to cut in to the recording a bit. But so a lot's come out since we last recorded on Monday, and this one came out late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. Such as the fact that apparently there's photographic and video evidence of Connor Stalions on the Central Michigan University sideline for the opening week against Michigan State, where he's in matching attire to all the coaches, which does not reflect well on Central Michigan. He's wearing all their gear, the Adidas gear, and then he's got Nike shoes on that he Sharpied to look like Adidas shoes.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was bad. All the while wearing smart sunglasses near halftime of a 7 p.m. kickoff. And at one point you can very clearly see the little blue light flashing from the side of them, and it's bad. It's a bad look, man. It's a terrible look even. You've got more video evidence of him on the sideline letting defensive coordinators know as far back as 2019 for Michigan. I saw a video today where Harbaugh is talking to him on the sideline for a game.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Yeah, and he's yelling edge pressure.
Yes. And then you've got Stuart Mandel from SI who's saying that, hey, we've from an anonymous source, he's got text stating where Connor Stalions is bragging about going to all these games and filming this stuff as far back as pre-COVID, so 2019, which is not good.
No. They're about to get... It's not going to be the death penalty.
No, but the further back it goes... The further back it goes, the longer the postseason ban should be.
Back?
At least 2019, pre-COVID.
Right. I mean, he could have been doing this since Harbaugh got there.
For all we know, yes. For all we know.
I mean,
it's bad. You got all the Big Ten, like you had, and I quote on this one, a vast majority of the Big Ten coaches on a video conference earlier today. Like I said, we're recording this on a Thursday. We're on a video conference with the Big Ten commissioner, and they're like, hey, this needs to get dealt with now. And you have a lot of people going and saying, oh, well, I don't know if it will get dealt with but right now. I don't think it'll get dealt with right now either.
It needs to.
It needs to be, yes. I think the Big Ten, though, is going to wait until after the Michigan-Ohio State game. Because if Ohio State wins that...
Probably.
If Ohio State wins that, then Michigan loses their shot to go to the national championship at that point. That's when they'll go and be like, okay, well, you can't go to the national championship. You can't bring us a national championship. So, yeah, we're going to punish you now. Go ahead and dole out whatever it is. Whereas if Michigan wins it, they're going to let it slide until after the year's over with, at least. And they might not do anything, and they might fight the NCAA on certain things. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it is. It's all politics, right? And it's a shame that nothing's been done yet, because this is egregious. Something like this has never been done before. So obviously there's no precedent set on what the penalty is. So maybe that's kind of why it's taken so long, because this hasn't really happened to this extent before, where you're actually going to other teams' games and recording, their sidelines. I mean, obviously we've had instances in the past where people have pre-scouted and gone to their games, but they've never sat there and recorded a sideline to get signs before.
Yeah.
Which is a whole new territory. So obviously that's kind of something that maybe the reason it's taking as long as it has, but it's also politics of Michigan right now is probably, other than Ohio State, the best chance for the Big Ten to have a national championship contender, and they're not going to risk that.
Yeah.
Until they know that Michigan's out.
It's a bad look on the Big Ten. And sad thing is, as egregious as this is to the game, this is possibly one of the lesser egregious things that's actually happened by a Michigan staffer this season. Because you had Matt Weiss, who I think got suspended because he was doing something with computers, illegally with computers. I can't remember what exactly that was. That wasn't as bad as this, but the thing that really bothers me is you did, and this guy, as far as I know, got let go, but you had another Michigan staffer who was recorded on video at a liquor store saying that he was planning on getting a 13-year-old girl drunk.
Scum of the earth.
Scum of the earth. And I'm sorry, but when you pile all this stuff up in 1 year, something has to be done. It's sad.
Oh, absolutely. It's getting ridiculous.
But especially when, Jim Harbaugh says, I pride myself on all this moral stuff. He doesn't have the cleanest record, man. You go and look it up.
No.
He's got a DUI or two. Granted, back when he was a player, but he's also got assaulting an officer, which, he's not squeaky clean as he likes to act. I'm starting to get sick of it. I'm starting to root for.
It just seems like all year long. Right. I mean, it seems like all year long. It's every episode we do. It's something new about Michigan doing something, and more comes out, and it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, at this point, let's just do something about it, because I'm tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every episode something new's coming out about Michigan's done this and Michigan's done that. Let's just get it over with. I mean, punish them, do whatever you're going to do, and get it out of the way so everybody can stop talking about it. My whole Twitter feed, or X, or whatever it's called now, is just filled with Michigan. Michigan did this. Oh, look, here's Connor Stalions on Central Michigan sideline, dressed up in Central Michigan stuff. And then Jim McElwain sitting here acting like, oh, I don't know how anybody could possibly get on our sideline.
I don't know. That man.
And he's good friends with Jim Harbaugh. I would not be surprised if he let him on the sidelines. But that's not the point. It's getting ridiculous.
And you can't really trust anything that McElwain says. To be fair, I still don't necessarily believe that photo of that's not him in that photo with that shark. Man, I mean, he's got some shady crap too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing about talking about Michigan at this point.
Except Josh Pate.
Just get it over with. Except Josh Pate. I'm sure he's loving it.
Oh, he's leading the charge. He was the one who I saw the thing of Central Michigan sideline from his Twitter account. So, hey, thank you, Pate State.
Yeah, he's doing the Lord's work. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So let's finally get away from the news and let's talk about good old-fashioned football.
Washington,
good old-fashioned
USC?
football games. Washington, USC. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because I'm pretty sure we have the exact same pick for this game.
Washington.
It's Washington. Gotta be. USC has been awful these last 3 weeks. It seems like after they lost to Notre Dame, something just broke. Like Caleb Williams just broke. I don't know. He was having a Heisman contender type year, and then they lost to Notre Dame, and somewhere around the first quarter in that Notre Dame game, he just broke. And he has not been the same since. So, what else do you expect from a Lincoln Riley coach team with Alex Grinch as the DC? Tired of talking about that too. It seems like every week it's Alex Grinch needs to be let go, and it's never going to happen.
Yep.
But
here's what I'll say. And real quick before we get into that, I just got a little thing from an alert from ESPN. Big Ten ADs have met with the Big Ten director, Petiti, and MSU's AD says he's worried about players potentially getting hurt because Michigan players could have known their plays. Anyways, back to Washington, USC. I mean, possibly.
Yeah, regardless,
we're done with it. There's the new breaking news.
Didn't get far.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We're trying, people. I swear we're trying. But no, Washington, USC, I believe the thought process when you're going against USC is you put an average offense and a competent defense together, and you can stop and beat them. So, Washington all the way.
Yes. I agree. Now, before we get into the first real game I'm really going to talk about, I have a proposition.
Oh, no.
So, you guys know we're keeping score and we're kind of keeping up with records on our picks for these games, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I'm one back right now, so I'm in second place.
Number one.
I would like to make a proposition that the person in second place gets to pick last as a crutch.
As a crutch?
So, as a crutch. See, whenever I take the lead later, you get to go second.
Okay, fair. You know what? I'll take it. I'll allow it.
Okay. So, first real game we're really going to get into is number 9, Oklahoma at number 22, Oklahoma State. It's at Oklahoma State. So, this could get a little froggy.
It's Bedlam, baby.
It could get a little froggy. Bedlam.
Bell Trophy.
The Bedlam Bell Trophy.
So I get to pick first, right?
I mean, yeah. Eesh.
So
this one's closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah. That's what happens when it's at Stillwater, right? That stadium, the sideline is like the fans are right on top of the sidelines. And they're notorious for those
freaky magic voodoo, you say?
Potentially. Historically, not so much. So I'll give you a little history lesson for you. I've heard so many times over this past week or two, anything can happen in Bedlam. Historically, this series has had 117 games played, right? Mm-hmm. Of those 117 games, there have been 7 draws. So, 110 games right there that have a decided victor. And growing up for me, watching this game, it was Oklahoma State would win one every now and then, but Oklahoma goes on these streaks. Historically, that's how this series is. Because the historical record is Oklahoma leads this series all time 91-19. Oklahoma State slips up and wins every now and then. So I'm going to go Oklahoma in this. I think they're going to be ticked off after losing to Kansas last week. That defense might smother Mike Gundy's offense. Oklahoma State has been deceptively good this year. You know, they lost to Southern Alabama pretty badly earlier in the year, but they've bounced back to have a 6-2 season so far, and 4-1 in conference play. I think Oklahoma's the easy pick here, and it could get bad. I think they might cover multiple times over, potentially.
I was fixed to say, if you think they might cover, good lord, it's only a 6-point line.
I think Vegas might be wrong.
Just a little bit. I mean, obviously, this game does have some big Big 12 conference championship implications.
Yeah.
Because the winner of this game could definitely go to the Big 12 championship game. I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma lost to Kansas, and that's their only loss on the year. Oklahoma State, like you said, lost to, was it South Alabama?
Yep.
I think you can't. I mean, good teams don't have slip-ups like that. You might slip up against like a Texas or an Ohio State or a Georgia, but you don't slip up against South Alabama, which is why I'm picking Oklahoma.
Yeah. I think the one caveat is if Ollie Gordon II goes off, low-key a dark horse for a Heisman finalist, I think. He's got over 1,000 yards rushing on the season already. If he goes off and Oklahoma State ends up controlling the pace and tempo of that game, it could get bad. Or, I mean, not bad, but it could be a bit sketchy for Oklahoma.
Close.
Be a lot closer than people think, but not so much. I
think Oklahoma's winning this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So far we're matching on 2. The next game is going to be, and a lot of people are going to be like, why did they put this game in here right here? Because it's Georgia Tech at Virginia. And the reason I put this game in here is because I saw the line and I was intrigued. Virginia, as bad as they've been, they are 2-6 on the year. Georgia Tech is 4-4. Virginia's favored by 2.5 points, less than a field goal at Virginia. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But then again, Georgia Tech.
Both teams beat North Carolina, right?
Yes, they have. So,
interesting.
Maybe, I don't know. My whole thing is like I'm split on this, right? Because as a Georgia fan, it's always been to hell with Tech, but I also wouldn't mind if Tech actually has a winning record coming into clean old-fashioned hate this year, just because I think it helps the rivalry build back up a bit. But former teammate of mine's coaching the quarterbacks for Virginia, so I think I'll go. I think I'll go Virginia on this one. Why not? Let's go. Let's go Cavaliers.
I mean, it's definitely a toss-up because both these teams are not great.
Yeah.
Both have beat North Carolina, though, who we thought was going to be great. So, with arguably the second-best quarterback going into the NFL draft and a Heisman contender. So, I think Georgia Tech's the better team.
Yep.
But it's at Virginia.
And an odd-numbered game. No, even.
And an odd-numbered game in Georgia Tech. Is it even?
No. So, even week, but this is their 9th game. Odd-numbered game. They haven't won a single odd-numbered game this year.
Shit. I mean, crap.
As long as it's not the F-bomb, we're good,
well,
I think.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech? Okay. Our first disagreement.
Georgia Tech.
Okay. Okay.
Jackets, Georgia Tech.
You know what?
I have a warm place in my heart for Georgia Tech.
I
know
don't.
it's kind of blasphemous
The
as a
hell with
Georgia
'em.
fan, but my grandfather used to take my dad to Georgia Tech games all the time, even though my dad is a Georgia fan. But I believe he was a Georgia Tech fan and a Navy fan, so.
Paul Johnson fan.
Yeah. Triple option fan, I guess.
I can see it. Game 3. Put this one in here because
Speaking of triple options.
Yeah, speaking of triple options, right? I put this one in here because it has heavy implications for a how do I put this? A 3-way rivalry, right? So this week,
very odd.
Army is going to be playing Air Force at a neutral site. Number 25 Air Force should be number 24 in my opinion. And if Air Force wins this, they win the Commander-in-Chief trophy for this year and win it back-to-back years. This would be if they were to win it, it would be the 22nd time winning it since this trophy was instituted in 1972, right? This thing's over 50 years old. However, when you actually look at you look at all 3 of the military academies, I'm fixing to learn you something here, Bonner. When you look at all the military academies, while Air Force has dominated the Commander-in-Chief trophy, the other ones have actual national championships, right? Air Force, the closest they ever came to winning one was in 1985, and they lost one of their final few games that cost them a chance to play for the national championship. Whereas Army actually has 3 that they claim in 44, 45, 46. Notice those years. What happened those years, Bonner?
I don't want to talk about it.
World War II.
I don't want to talk about it.
Why don't you want to talk about it?
Bad stuff happened those years.
Yes.
Bad stuff happened those years.
Yes, World War II happened. And because of that, all of the, I would presume all of the top athletic young men at that point were at one of the military academies, most of them in the Army. And lo and behold, would you look at that, they won the national championship those years.
And the 2 that they don't claim. There's a theme here.
Yeah.
About world wars.
Yeah.
And Army being in national championships.
They don't.
Hey, if there's World War III, Army might win a national championship.
Probably, possibly, if we're all alive. But no, they don't claim 1914
right.
or 1916. However, Navy claims one in 1926. Weird year, but at least they claim one. They got one they can claim. Air Force doesn't have that. So while Air Force has dominated this rivalry as a whole over in the modern era, I should say, they don't necessarily have the most success all time. I'll use air quotes on that.
Right. But which would you rather have? A national championship or one of the coolest named trophies, the Commander-in-Chief trophy?
So it depends, right? They haven't had a national championship since the 40s. So
right.
So for like
can you really even claim that anymore?
Yeah, because look at us as Georgia fans, right? So growing up, it was always 1980, 1980, 1980. Is what all these other rival fans would yell at us. Those are the only ones up to that point. Like, I didn't even claim it. Like, it was great. Hey, we won it in 1980. Yeah, that was all over multiple decades.
You don't go around bragging about that.
Yeah, no. Like, love Herschel Walker. Love him, but you didn't. Right. You wanted it now. You wanted it now. You know, I mean, the best thing I had was, hey, we lost
Right.
the national championship in 2012, and no one can fool me. The 2012 SEC championship was the national championship. Notre Dame was not good. Anyways,
Right. Then they turn around and lose it again in 2018.
yeah, but no,
18.
sorry.
I'm reminiscing bad memories. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, getting back to this game, the interesting thing about this is of the Commander, as much success as Army's had national championship wise, they've had the least success with the Commander-in-Chief trophy. They've only won it 9 times. Navy's won it 16. Air Force has won it 21 times, I should say, not 21st. Presumptively 22 if they win this week. If Army wins this week, then the Commander-in-Chief trophy gets decided by the Army-Navy game, which is honestly one of the coolest ways for it to be decided. But, so for those wondering, if Army does pull the upset this week, then if they beat Navy, they win it, hands down. If Navy beats them, the way this works is it becomes a shared win by all 3 military academies. And it stays with the previous winner, which would be Air Force. So it's a bit convoluted.
So Air Force wins either way.
Oh yeah, more than likely. More than likely.
I mean, who do you think's winning this game? Then
Air Force, because even though it's a neutral site, it's in Denver. Air Force is in Colorado already. I think it's Air Force.
Yeah, I agree. It's gotta be Air Force.
Also, pound the under.
Air Force has just been so good this year.
Yes, they have.
That's only 31.5 over under.
Yeah. Pound the under, man.
Pound the under.
The final for
why would they put it that high?
Well, the final for Air Force Navy was 17-6 Air Force. Yeah, Air Force is favored by 18.5 in this one.
With an over-under of 31.5. That's a really high number to be favored by with the over-under only 31.5.
Look, Jeff Monken...
Possible, though. Entirely possible.
Sorry. Jeff Monken may be favored by... Or not favored, but related to Todd Monken. But he is crippled at a military academy, in a sense.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. I think we're lagging a bit.
Alright. It'll be alright.
Hopefully.
Moving on to game 4, we got number 15 Notre Dame at 4-4 Clemson.
Yeah. Notre Dame's only favored by 3.
Very surprising.
Noon kickoff?
Clemson's awful.
It's a noon kickoff, too.
That can't be why.
Yeah, that's a surprising thing, you know? Noon kickoff at Death Valley? I mean, it's Death Valley, sure, but...
I mean, do we even need to talk about this game?
I think we're in agreement with this Notre Dame, right?
I believe it gotta be.
Yeah.
It's gotta be Notre Dame.
Look at this so far, right? Look at this so far. The only one we have deferred on is Georgia Tech at Virginia. Look at us, man. Look at us. We're here.
Who thought we'd be here?
Who thought we'd be here?
Not me.
Not me. Next game, number 1, Ohio State at Rutgers.
Oof.
You say oof. Ohio State is favored by 18.5 in this one. I don't know that they cover, though. Between being at Rutgers and Rutgers being 6-2 on the season, or is it 5-2? No, it's 6-2, I think.
6-2.
Yeah, 6-2.
It should be 6-2 if they are. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg Schiano, in his second run with Rutgers, is turning them around once again. There's an argument to be made that he should be the head coach at Tennessee right now. and Tennessee might be a bit more competent if he was. However,
he just wasn't the big name.
Well, no, he got hired, and then Tennessee overcorrected because because apparently he was part of the Penn State staff with Sandusky and yeah, drama. Yeah, we've had enough drama already, so let's move on. Honestly,
well, with that being said, I mean, who you got winning this game?
I'm still gonna take Ohio State. I'm gonna take Ohio State in this one. I don't think Ohio State. I don't think they cover though. I think 18.5 is a bit much right now with the way that offense is running. I think Rutgers can cover. And if Rutgers pulls the upset, I'm not going to be mad. Well, maybe I will. Then that has other implications with the Michigan thing. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna take a wild swing.
I mean, it's got to be Ohio State.
Yeah,
it's got to be. It would be pissing in the wind for me to pick Rutgers because there's no way. I mean,
unless
Ohio State may not cover, unless I'm a crazy man.
How crazy are you?
And I just might be crazy. Just might be crazy. But not crazy enough to pick Rutgers. I'm not crazy enough to pick Rutgers.
If Rutgers were to pull the upset, Greg Schiano would have a lifetime contract, and he would never have to buy a drink in New Jersey again. I think it's that simple.
Definitely, but it's not happening.
Oh, no, it's not.
It's not happening, though.
But imagine if it did.
Oh, right. It'd be pure chaos, and I'd love it. But it's not going to happen.
Yep.
You'd have to be insane to pick Rutgers. You could pick Rutgers to cover.
Maybe.
Yeah. You're not picking Rutgers to win this game.
No.
There's no way. I do think Rutgers covers, though. I don't think Ohio State beats them by 18.5.
No.
But I do think Ohio State wins.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really embarrassed when Ohio State beats them 42-7.
Oh God. Yeah. Next game, K-State, number 20. I was fixing to say 24. Number 23, K-State at number 7, Texas. I already said it earlier. I think the line's 4. Texas is favored by 4 at home. I think K-State wins this one. I was watching. Go on.
Do we know when Ewers is coming back? Do we have any updates at all on when he's going to be back?
I haven't seen anything. I know Malik Murphy's starting this game, and that's one of the reasons why I'm picking K-State. Especially, I was watching Late Kick earlier, and Josh Pate actually brought up a stat where in red zone touchdown rate, Texas's offense is 120th in the country, whereas K-State's defense is 3rd in touchdowns allowed in the red zone. So, K-State pulls the upset.
You know, this one's tough. Because obviously I picked Texas to win the Big 12.
Yep.
Which would mean they'd have to win this game. But the more I think about it, Texas just has to survive. It's at Texas. They just have to survive. They have a good defense.
Maybe.
They have a decent defense. They don't have a good defense. They have a decent defense. K-State has a really good defense. Does K-State have an offense? Texas doesn't have an offense. Not without Quinn Ewers in the game. They do have two really good wide receivers, though, and a good running back.
Mm-hmm.
Texas.
So you're picking Texas.
Texas.
Okay.
Texas.
Okay.
I talked myself into it.
That's two. Either you take the lead, or I keep the lead. For sure.
I'm trying not to do my best Sisyphus and roll that boulder up the hill and just fall right back down. I'm trying my best.
Yeah. Game 7 for us is number 12 Missouri at number 2 UGA for Georgia's homecoming. So, Georgia's favored by 15.5 at this point. Like I said earlier, all of a sudden Georgia has a gauntlet ahead of them. I think Kirby Smart, first off, was doing backflips the moment. I think everyone in the nation's in agreement. He was backflipping as much as he could. The moment he found out they weren't number one, they're going 7-5. They think we're going 7-5 this year. 8-4, I think, maybe. Right? But this rivalry isn't as historic as some people think. Their first time meeting was in 1960 at the Orange Bowl. Georgia won 14-0. I got a little fun trivia for you. After that little bit of fun fact, do you know how many times Georgia and Missouri, all told, have played each other?
That was the first time.
Yeah.
Then Missouri joined the SEC in 2012. 12?
Yep.
They played in 2012?
Yeah, they played in 2012.
Okay, so 12. That's 11. 15.
15 times?
15 times.
Okay. Before I give you the actual amount of times, how many times do you think Missouri's won this in the series?
Once. In 2013.
You are correct on how many times they've won in this series. You're off by a few on how many times they've played. This game Saturday will be the 13th time overall they've played each other.
Okay, Georgia's so there's only okay.
Yeah. And
I was calculating, but the 11 times they played in conference plus that time, I figured there might be like 3 or 4 more times in between there that they played. Yeah. Obviously, there's only one more.
No, not even that. They didn't play again from between 1960 and when Missouri joined in 2012.
Really?
They have not played since until then, and then they became in divisional rivals, and everything else was set in stone. And even then,
they won on the year, though, right?
What? Sorry.
I was right on the year that they won, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 2013. But the caveat to that was injuries to the backfield at the time for Georgia. Because 2 weeks before that game, Todd Gurley goes and sprains his ankle. He's not able to play in the game. And the week before against Tennessee, Keith Marshall tore his ACL and was out for the rest of the season. And that was right in prime Gershel years right there. So, yeah. So, argument could be made. Georgia should have never lost in this series. But, unlike some schools, we don't like to go and pin our losses on injuries. So, that being said, I don't see Missouri beating Georgia in Athens after a close call in Como last year. Kirby's going to have this team ready, especially now that all of a sudden it's a top 12 team matchup. I think Dogs roll, especially if they play like they did in Jacksonville or against Kentucky. Dear Lord, it could get bad quick and in a hurry. So, Georgia.
if this game was at Missouri, I think Missouri wins.
Really?
If it's at Missouri. Yes.
I disagree.
But it is not. I know you disagree. But if this game was at Missouri, Missouri's winning this game, but it's not. And Georgia fans turn out to home games. Doesn't matter if it's noon, 3:30, 7 o'clock, they turn out. So it's going to be a rowdy environment. Yeah. It's going to be a rowdy environment. There are going to be a lot of false start penalties from Missouri.
Yep.
The question is going to be, can Georgia stop Luther Burden and still win? Or even if they can't stop Luther Burden, can they still win this game?
Yes.
I think it's entirely possible. I don't know if Georgia covers, because 15.5 is a lot. I'm probably looking more like a 34-24, 35-24.
Maybe.
Something like that. I think Georgia wins, but I think they're not going to cover. I think it's going to be close.
Fair.
So, I got Georgia winning.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, if Georgia goes and they play like they did in Jacksonville, Carson Beck goes and throws for 300 again like that, buddy, it's could get ugly. Anyways, on to our game of the week. Yeah, I don't know why I was doing there. It's number 14 LSU. Number 14 LSU at number 8 Alabama. The I guess you could call it at this point the Saban Bowl. It's at Tuscaloosa. Bama's favored by 3. And I don't know how to feel about this one. I've thought on this, and I'm up in the air on this. Even right now, I'm going to be coming down at the last minute with my pick. This rivalry, depending on which fan base you ask, is either the biggest rivalry they have, LSU fans, or they're just another opponent, Alabama fans. For the longest time, that was a thought, at least. All time, Bama leads this thing, 55 wins, 27 losses, 5 draws. Lately, though, ever since I'd say the early 2000s, back to when Saban was coaching for LSU, to now, this game decides a lot. It's got heavy SEC championship implications like it does this year. LSU wins, then not only is Alabama out of the probably SEC championship picture, they're also out of the national championship picture. And somehow puts Ole Miss possibly in the driver's seat to get to the SEC championship, which would be astounding. Or LSU could go on to the SEC championship themselves, depending on how many more losses Ole Miss gets. So, not just that, it's also got national championship implications. So, because if you remember correctly, these two teams are the reason why we have the current playoff format, because they played each other in 2011, and then the BCS was like, oh, hey, these two are the most deserving to be in the national championship game this year, and everyone got pissed. They were pissed beyond all get out.
Mm-hmm.
Especially seeing as the second matchup wasn't as good of a game as the first one was. And oh boy.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it happens. But so this game currently typically has championship implications in it. Always has. I'll say this. As I said, I'm undecided still yet, so I'm going to be talking this through for myself. For the fans that we have, listeners, if we have any yet, and for you, I think if this gets into a shootout, Bama loses. And historically, this game does not favor the home team either. I think only like 39% of the time the home team wins this. So I saw that somewhere. I think if this gets into a shootout, LSU wins. If Bama's defense holds up, though, it's going to be good on good and bad on bad at this point, because you've got Bama's defense, which is their best attribute this year, against LSU's amazing offense. Whereas you've had LSU's anemic defense against Bama's anemic offense. There you go. We got it in twice, buddy.
Appreciate that. I've been waiting for it all episode.
All episode. Yeah. Threw it in there in the last second.
Thank you.
If this gets into a shootout, like I said, LSU. If it's a standard game, Bama. I want so badly to say LSU. But of the 3 Bama games I've picked Bama once. They won that one time. The other 2 times that I have not picked them, Bama won. All signs are saying to me not to F on Saban. Bama. Bama gets revenge for last year.
Okay. I mean, like you said, LSU probably has definitely the best offense in the SEC, if not one of the best offenses in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is awful. Bama has one of the worst offenses in the nation and one of the best defenses in the nation. And you know what they say, defense wins championships, right? That's what they always used to say.
Yeah.
But you know what? Go Tigers. Offense wins championships, baby. This is the modern age. And offense wins championships, not defense. LSU is winning this football game.
Wow.
That's how it's going to work. This is what's happening. Go Tigers.
Okay, wow. This is like the first time we've deferred on like 3, right? Something like that.
I believe so.
So, okay, so Tech, Virginia, Texas, K-State, and LSU, Bama. Okay.
Looking for a big swing this week.
Yeah, big swing one way or the other. If one of us, if I get all 3 right and you get all 3 wrong, buddy, it's gonna be bad.
We're in bad shape.
You are in terrible shape.
I'm hoping I get all 3 right.
But
I'm confident about all 3 that I picked. But like 2 of the 3 were close games. So
yeah. I honestly believe either...
all 3 are technically close games.
Yeah, I believe all 3 could go one way or the other.
They're toss-ups, really.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Yep.
With that being said, any closing thoughts, any interesting facts that you would like to tell us?
Let's take it to basketball real quick. In the NBA... The Hawks are now 3-2 with this new look offense under Quinn Snyder. I don't buy it for a second. They're going to break all of Atlanta's hearts once again. I'm watching you, Hawks. You're not gonna fool me.
All right. All right. Interesting. Okay. Well, we will see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Any Given Day podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can find us under the name Any Given Day Podcast. Stay updated with our latest episodes and insights. And don't forget, the next episode will be out Tuesday, where we will review some of the big games from this weekend. Until then, keep the spirit of the game alive. And remember, in this sport, anything can happen on any given day. See y'all on the next play.